All right, folks, I want to say this up front. I'm not one for TMZ style gossip or watch community drama. I have no interest. But today, we need to veer off the usual path and talk about the whole Anthony Ferrer situation. I promise you, typically I'd avoid this type of controversy, but this time, it seems to me that many are missing the forest for the trees. We need to take a step back, look at the bigger picture, and discuss what this means for the entire watch community. Because Anthony Ferrer isn't the exception to the rule. He's the norm. Let me explain. Welcome back to my channel. Here I share my musings about watch collecting, spiced with an economist's perspective. Always glad to have you with us. Before we dig into the analysis, let's take a moment for a quick wrist check. I'm wearing my Omega CK859. It's production number 1035. It's become an amazing dress watch, which I'll discuss in another video. It's a beautiful piece, and I can't wait to talk more about it with you. Now, back to the man of the hour, Mr. Ferrer. I was blissfully and thankfully ignorant of this character until very recently. I don't follow any Instagram accounts. Why? I know what the watches look like. I don't need your pictures. To me, it's like going to the zoo to look at dogs. I've got my own collection. Thank you very much. But when the news is big enough, it still reaches those of us who prefer to keep our noses out of the social media hubbub. And this post on Reddit popped up on my radar. Quote, "This is bigger than a Ponzi. The Ponzi was collapsing and he decided to take in more watches at the end, sell them for less than the consignees agreed, and exit. No one's getting paid." That's a shame. And it is a Ponzi scheme indeed, but this goes beyond that. It exposes a fundamental flaw within the current gray market. It's something we all need to discuss. However, before we delve into that, let's consider another post that caught my eye. Quote, "Why would anyone buy through Anthony? Just knowing he's marking it up." That's precisely my point. Why would anyone in their right mind buy from a known scammer like Anthony? Didn't the guy go to jail? He's got a criminal record. There were plenty of red flags. I mean, come on. The guy bought a multi-million-dollar mansion in LA with a rock climbing wall. What about all this said, yes, give him your money? Well, the answer lies in the greater fool theory of markets. The greater fool theory is an economic principle that says the price of an asset is determined not by its intrinsic value, but by the belief that there will always be someone willing to pay a higher price. In other words, people buy overpriced assets with the hope of selling them to a greater fool who is willing to pay even more. What we're witnessing here is a high-stakes game of greater fools, with people hoping to find an even bigger fool to buy their overpriced watches. That's why they turn to guys like Anthony. They think he's a social media savant, a marketing genius. They believe he'll find someone willing to pay $100K for a Daytona. All they need to do is find an even more deluded buyer. And why would anyone pay $100K for a Daytona? Because they think they can sell it for $120K. However, like any game, there's an end. Eventually, the market runs out of greater fools, and the prices come crashing down. And the last buyers, they're left holding a very expensive bag of unsellable watches. The party's over, folks. This mentality is what gives people like Anthony Ferrer their power. It's what transforms collectors into crazed flippers. They've replaced a love of horology for a love of instant profit. But that's not the worst part. Remember when I mentioned the wider implications for the watch market? Let's discuss that now. People are crying fraud, shouting Ponzi schemes from the rooftops, but it's more than that. The real issue? Rolex flipping had become the norm for the industry. This isn't just about one bad apple. it's about a rot that had taken over the entire crop. What does that mean? It means that a significant number of gray dealers have built their entire business model on the premise of Rolex flipping. They're banked on the assumption that the trend of flipping high-demand watches like Rolex for a hefty profit is here to stay. They've constructed a model where they are middlemen purchasing these desirable pieces from individuals lucky enough to get them at a retail price, then selling them at a higher price to those who missed out. It's a business model that's dependent on the existence of greater fools. But it's not just Rolex. Other brands like Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet are also in this flipping game. And what if the pool of these greater fools dries up? What if the market dynamics shift, as they often do, as they now have? Well, that's when things get dicey. Not everyone, I'm sure, but many gray dealers could find themselves in a precarious situation. Recently, Luxury Bazaar has had layoffs. You can expect more from other gray dealers. That's the reality of this new market. So here's the key takeaway. Even if they don't commit fraud, gray dealers are under considerable pressure. The very foundation of their business model is shaky. And if it crumbles, they might resort to less than savory tactics. If I were a collector selling a watch, I'd be very careful in dealing with the gray market, especially consignment. Now, I see a lot of videos from gray dealers claiming it's just one bad apple, that they're still the good guys. They can help you out. Maybe they can, or maybe not. The market dynamics have changed, and as collectors, we need to stay vigilant. Even the best of intentions can lead to bad outcomes. All right, I hate to end on such a cautious note, but that's enough for today. Hopefully we can get past this and focus on our love for watches instead of the perils of the market. Stay sharp out there, and I'll see you in the next video.